journey, and naturally the journey begins with you enrolling. There are two types of options. One is Explore and Essential. Both the options are free till 31st December 2021. I'm going to focus on Essential because it's free till 31st December 2021. And if you decide anytime right up to 31st December 2021 that you would like to downgrade to Explore, it is absolutely no problem. No commitment, no problem. So Explore is virtually a visibility option where you display your product and you display your name and your qualification, and other suppliers will see you and you'll see everybody else. So it's purely a visibility function. Essential is one step forward. It's beyond visibility, it is sellability. So that means people can connect with you and you can have your own white label solution and or your own website if that's what you choose to do. But there'll be more than the £25 a month that we're talking about for 2021. So to be very clear, in Essential, as you'll see in a second, you'll be visible. Your products will be visible. You'll be able to be sold through Sightseeing Supermarket as a white label solution. You'll be able to get the invoicing or the accounting function, and you'll be able to connect with other wholesalers, resellers that are on Sightseeing Alliance's platform. As soon as you made your selection, you arrive at the first page, which is the primary contact details, naturally asking you for your primary information, your name, your last name, your email address, your contact details. And if you have a business organization, they'll ask you to put your business information in there, your company name, so on and so forth. Select your subcategory. You can choose more than one subcategory: adventure guide, business guide, cultural guide, travel guide, nature guide, tour guide, so on, so forth. Under the company description, we've given you a sample of that here. So what sort of things do you do? I mean, are you particularly expert at, for example, the Science Museum, particular skill set in First World War, so on and so forth? And the kind of products that you will be selling: walking tours, packages, your own services, driver guiding, in which case do put down the vehicle registration number, and the quality of the vehicle would be useful to have here as well, and the age of the vehicle. I think anything that you find useful to sell your product and to make you different from everybody else and for the client to know more about you, please do put it in here. This is then followed by billing address, your billing details. Where do we pay you? To who do we pay? Is all required to be put in here. Tax identification is a generic term, could be your VAT reference. And I think for the purpose of invoicing purposes, if you are self-registered, I'm trying to remember what the normal word would be for tax purposes. Either your VAT number or your tax ID actually is what I'm referring to. So please do put that in. So as soon as this is done, congratulations, you're subscribed successfully, and you should then get an email from Sightseeing Alliance that you're ready to go to the next level. They'll send you a reference number, and you need to go to Sightseeing Alliance's website and put your details in, and then be able to do proper information about your product. This is the most important slide. This is the slide that's going to sell you your basic details. Your photograph, name again, which all this stuff will come from the previous page anyway, so they'll be pre-populated. But tell us about yourself is very important. Anything that you want to talk about, your sense of humor, your knowledge, how long you've been in the country, your past experience. Maybe you are a doctor and decided to give that up and decided to become a guide. Maybe you're retired. Something that would make your client happy because they know a bit more about you. And I would put that in here. We left in there some kind of a text for you to follow. Your bank details, again, this is pre-populated. Additional information is same thing as before, but I suppose a bit more stuff can go in there. I'm not quite sure, to be very honest, but we'll populate this as we go along. My profile link, your website details, if you have such, where we can get more information, license and certification details, very, very important. Now, some of you are qualified, like Blue Badge Guides are in London. Some of you are not. Some of you are experienced. Either way, you need to put in there your license is relevant to the guiding profession. So if you're a lawyer or doctor, we don't need to have your certification for that. Your profile details continue. You here talk about the languages that you are able to speak, your professional qualification number, your formal qualification details. So really interesting stuff in there, like City Guide qualification, Westminster Abbey qualification, Windsor Castle qualification. These are specialist knowledge places where you need extra qualification that's given by the venue themselves for free. And I'm sure different countries have got that kind of possibilities as well. If you have any restrictions, for example, if you're not a Blue Badge Guide, which means you can't actually guide in places like Tower of London or St. Paul's, be direct, be honest, and transparent if you don't mind. Otherwise, your client will have more expectation from you, and we don't want to do that. So, are you a driver guide? Yes or no? Working experience as a guide, how many years you've been qualified, how many languages do you speak, anything that you're specialist in, again, is available there. Your proficiencies in languages is there, and the time zone that you work to. So because we are an international website, it's worthwhile putting down which country you're from. So when the client comes from different countries, then they can work out your dollar or sterling rate and your time zone. So they'll all be very useful for a potential client. So your profile continues, and it now asks you to put down your availability. If it's morning, if it's afternoon, from which date to which date. And it says add date, which means you can put as many dates as you like. You don't just have to put one date, you can do a whole period. So you can say from 25th of February to 16th of June 2021, your price is X amount and you're available from this time to this time. And you can put your afternoon, your morning, your half day rate. Half day rate means it could be a start time half in the middle of the day and finishing off in the middle of the day. You might want to charge a full day rate if that's the case, but you got the option. You got the option to put what you want to put. So carrying on to the next slide, your profile visibility. Either private, that means nobody can see you at all. Not quite sure why you'd want to do that, but let's suppose you do. And the next one is either available to all the partners. That means suppliers, other guides can see your profile as well, or only channel manager partners. That means the resellers can only see you and your profile and nobody else. As I mentioned earlier, that if you are choosing Essential, then you'd be able to create your own packages and your own products like a walking tour. So on the basis that you've chosen that option, then this is an option for you to create your own walking tour with or without other add-ons like cruise, lunch, dinner, other attractions, whatever. So this is Sightseeing Supermarket is a distributor. Your basic details are the product code the product name that you're creating, like a religious heritage walking tour of Singapore, the text you would like to see appearing on the website, the highlights, and the capacity, how many people are you able to carry on your group. Most people stick to 25, and that's the right number to get. As soon as you save that, let's see what happens in Sightseeing Supermarket. So that's how your page would appear for the consumers to see. So consumers will be able to see under walking tours, your walking tour of Singapore, your price, your highlights and everything else, your description, your further photographs, inclusions, exclusions, your availability, your duration, a map of the walking tour that you are covering, and clients' reviews. All this will be populated once you have created the product. And you're now on the world stage. You'll be able to look, your product will be able to compare out there with other walking tour products in that city. And if you are only enrolling as a guide and you're offering a services as a guide, either under Explore option or otherwise, this could be one of you, and that's how you would actually be displayed. On this slide, you're seeing what a landing page of guides would look like. So a client would put down the name of the city, and then he'll have a list of all the guides that are available, and he decides who he wants to work with. He can get more information just by pressing on further information. Let's suppose he has chosen, which is on the next slide, Mr. John Smith. And then he has to decide, he puts down the dates that he would like to see if he's available. And then he presses the check availability button. You can see what are the other tours provided by Mr. Jones. These could be the walking tours of Mr. Jones. So the client, while he's thinking about using Mr. Jones for a half day or a full day, he also has the ability to see, oh, what other things is he doing? And he might actually book him for that particular walking tour, except for a private tour, in other words, for half day or full day for himself. Customers' reviews also appear at this point in time. And there we go. For the slide, request to hire, available shifts, information about the client, who you are, your name, your time, which country are you from, your phone number, group size, how many people are you with, and your expectation from the guide. So if you're asking, if your expectation from a guide, let's suppose it is a Second World War tour you are booking the guide for, but you want specific emphasis on the Russian involvement or the Commonwealth countries' involvement, then you'd put your expectation there. If you want to stop somewhere for a coffee or lunch that you would like your guide to recommend, then bung it in. So you can actually, the guide can have that information already available before he meets up with you. Of course, don't forget to put down the pickup area as well, your meeting point rather. So that'll also be useful to do. Customers' reviews. He'll also be able to see if this customer has put other reviews on other tours using Sightseeing Supermarket as a platform. So a guide will have some idea as to the kind of a customer that he's going to be with all day. The guide will receive a request and he then has to approve or reject. Now, on the basis that the calendar is up to date, I wouldn't expect to see a reject. So, over a period of time, as we begin to work with a guide, the more reject he or she offers, it may become an area of concern because it's a question of reputation for Sightseeing Supermarket that we have guides available on the website, but then they reject the request. So I'm hoping that you would all keep your diary up to date, and therefore it'll mostly be accept, and you're expected to accept within 24 hours. Otherwise, automatically the request will disappear, and the customer will be asked to find another guide. I hope this has been clear so far. There's a lot more to learn, which is in terms of how do we connect you with other resellers, but that's a bit more technical, and I think once you have enrolled, We can talk about further training as regards selling your product, giving you further training on white label. If you're looking to create your own website, we can do that once you have enrolled. Once you're enrolled, we'll be delighted to connect you with your relationship manager, who is far more educated than I am, and he'll be able to help you even more.